All right. So again, we have some lovely presenters with us today. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our director of the NCCA, Cindy Lanehoff, to do some introductions.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for stopping for a moment to learn from Caroline and Kate, some things that can help you with your business needs. As far as staffing is concerned, one of the things that we're challenged with right now, and these ladies have such great ideas based on experience. In fact, Caroline she has a diverse background. She is the founder of Childcare Biz Help. She's been with us before. She has over 25 years in the finance and childcare industry. In her past years, before becoming the founder of Childcare Biz, Caroline worked as an executive director for an independent childcare center that had high turnover and low enrollment, and she turned it into a thriving business. So Childcare Biz Help was created by Caroline from her experience, and she has walked in your shoes, and we're always so grateful to have her as a business affiliate and a friend of NCCA. And I'm going to let her introduce Kate Burch, who is a part of Childcare Biz as a consultant, because she too has a lots of past experiences and has walked a mile in your shoes. Caroline, take it away.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Mariah. And thank you, NCCA, for having us. We always love coming in front of your audience and sharing whatever we can to be a real valuable resource for your members. I get no credit for today because this is all Kate. Kate's just started with Childcare Biz Help. She's been a consultant now for a couple of months with us, but she brings with her over 20 years experience in our industry. And specifically, she's done a lot of work with coalitions and directors and owners of schools. And I'm going to let her dive in a little bit if she wants to, but I just want to brag on her. She's phenomenal. She's got a really unique approach to culture and how to empower your team so that you can have a school that you can really be proud of. So Kate, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you get started.
Wonderful. Thank you for NCCA for letting me be a part of this. It's really a gift to get to present today. So this opportunity is just wonderful to just get to share this information with everybody. Thank you, Cindy and Caroline, both for the kind words. It means a ton. So thank you for that. If somebody has not checked out Childcare Biz Help, working with Caroline, I have already learned so much more than I did. The knowledge that I've gained in just this little bit of time with her has been wonderful. She really walks the walk. What she gives out there and what she gives in mentorship and coaching and what she helps along is what she's doing in her own business as well. So definitely jump on and check out Childcare Biz Help. And I am just so grateful to get to be a part of the team now. So today we're going to talk about childcare challenges that affect your culture. And as I was writing this blog, some new things have happened, and I'm going to take a little pause before we jump in and share about a special Valentine's delivery that we got yesterday. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. You're going to hear some about our small farm. You're going to hear some stuff about my own personal children. I'm a mama of 4, but it's always great to take a little moment just to share some information. So yesterday we did not get a normal, typical Valentine's delivery at all. It was not roses or chocolate. I'm one of those people that I want to eat chocolate year round. So please don't give it to me on Valentine's Day. I want that every single day of my life. It's what keeps me going. But yesterday we got a surprise delivery, and I promise this will tie into childcare challenges that affect your culture. We got a surprise delivery of some beautiful baby piglets. So we have a small farm, and yesterday our mama pig delivered 7 babies, and they are adorable, guys. They are absolutely precious. And as I was sitting there and I was watching this mom a few days, she kind of started prepping and preparing for her babies to come. And what she did is she builds a nest, just like a bird would build a nest. She starts gathering these twigs, these branches, she's digging down in deep, and she's building these barriers around so that nothing can come in and get the baby. She's got them all surrounded, they're safe, they're secure. She's constantly going in and bringing more branches, more twigs, digging deeper so that they stay in this one position. And I want you, as we go through this presentation today, to kind of keep that image in your mind, this nest, this barrier, digging down deep, making those boundaries, those foundations, and those strong roots in your business. And that's what we're going to chat about, is exactly how to do that and how this can affect your culture in your centers or your buildings. So for me as a director, when I first started, I realized that the day controlled me a whole lot. I would go to work. It was constant about the center, about the children, about your teachers. I'd go home at night and lay my head down on the pillow, and my mind was still racing about the day. I'd fall asleep and I'd wake up the next day. I'd feel refreshed and ready to tackle the day. And you kind of just wake up in those moments of, this is going to be the best day ever. There's nothing going to get in my way. I'm excited. This is fantastic. All my staff are going to be there. This is going to be the best day. And you're maybe driving through Starbucks. For me, it was McDonald's. It was cheap, good coffee to get my day started. But you're driving through, you got your coffee, you go in, you greet all your staff members, and then all of a sudden, confrontation hits. You've got an upset parent, you have somebody upset in the community, or an upset staff member, and all of a sudden you just feel your whole body language change. Your shoulders just drop, and you're like, oh my goodness, this was going to be the best day, and now it is just off the deep end. And that is something that can just really throw off your day, but you have control of you. You have control of the situations, and you can only control yourself and your own actions. So we're going to learn about how not to let this one negative moment ruin your entire day, your weekend, or your evening. For me, before this special Valentine's delivery came, the image that I had in my mind was this duck playing in water. These ducks can swim around in this pond. All of a sudden they can take this deep dive to go collect the stuff down on the ground, and they pop up, they shake off their feathers, and it's like nothing ever happened. They look beautiful, and they just gracefully keep on swimming along. And then the image pops into my head about me at the beach, right? Like, you think you're gonna look super cute going to the beach. I go jump in the water and I come out looking like this wet, soaked rat, sunburnt, sand sticking to me. It's just not a pretty sight at all. And I'm thinking, wow, man, these ducks can sit there and dive under this water. They look beautiful. And I look like a wet rat. Like, what is going on? So when I'm thinking about conflict in my head, I want to come out of a conflict situation knowing that it looks clean and neat, that my culture is still there, it's still standing, my business practice are still what they should be, not the image of me. And I apologize if you walk away and that's the takeaway you have, is me as a wet rat on the beach. But we want to look like that duck, not Kate lounging at the beach, right? So today we're going to explore how to shake it off and let that conflict, let those stressful situations just roll off your back like water on a duck. There's been a lot of conversation recently that all of a sudden we have this shift and these changes in our workforce, with our parents. We've been hit with so many different situations that are not in our control. And when we look at childcare, and we look at, the dreaded word of COVID and the pandemic, there have been so many different health and safety protocols. There's just been so much stress and anxiety and pressure that has built up with all these changes that are not in your control. But today we're going to explore how you can have, how you don't have a good day, you actually make a good day. And that is all up to you. You have control to make your day good. The strategies that we're going to review today are 3 different strategies. The first one is to mitigate conflict before it even starts. So how can you stop conflict before it even begins? The second strategy we're going to review is understanding the conflict. So when you're in the fire, how can you understand what is going on and what do you do? And then the last strategy that we are going to explore is how not to let the conflict control you. So our first strategy is mitigate conflict before it starts. And this is broken up into 3 different parts: your relationships, emotions, and criticism. And if you walk away today, don't walk away with the image of me at the beach, walk away with the knowledge of knowing the best thing you can do is build your relationships, and we'll dive in deep to that now. So with relationships, if you think through those important relationships that you have in your life, and you really take a good time to reflect on those, what you're going to see is your strongest relationships are built on a strong foundation, and they're built on trust. And when we look in our classrooms too, when you see those interactions with teachers and with children, it's the children are doing best and striving best in a classroom that is built on strong foundations and trust. And that is what you want for your culture, with your families, with your parents, with community partners, to really build a strong relationship that is getting to know somebody personally, but on a professional level. Once you get to know your families, once you get to know everybody that's involved in your business, your teachers, your employees, your staff, your educators, everybody, is to know them on a professional, personal level. And doing that lets you know that anytime a conflict situation comes up, that everybody has the best intentions in place. They want what is best in the situation. They want to resolve it to be something that is good and walk away both feeling happy. But that starts with building those really strong, happy relationships. The next step in strategy 1 is our emotions. Childcare is a different cup of tea than any other business, right? It's 2 of the biggest emotional things in somebody's life. It's their money, and it's their pride and joy of their children. And you've got a lot of parents that are paying a mortgage payment, or if not even more than their mortgage payment to you on a monthly basis. And then you've got their pride and joy. And so I know if anybody comes after my money, or if anybody comes after my kiddos, Mama Bear is going to come out and get them, right? So looking through those lenses of what emotions are tied to conflict is important in this step. And there's a difference in understanding what is aggression and what is assertiveness. Aggression is that mama bear. She's going to do mama bear, papa bear, auntie bear. They're going to do whatever they need to do to protect themselves and protect their child. And a lot of times when conflict comes up, those emotions are heightened, and it's just a natural instinct to become defensive and want to protect yourself or want to protect somebody else in the situation. And so with aggression, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see some changes in body language. You're going to see those heightened emotions. You're going to feel the boiling water, kind of happening. But assertiveness is when someone can stand their ground, but is still open to feedback, and is still open to having conversation. They're wanting to still have strong self-esteem, but really show empathy to the other party that is involved as well too. So when you are in a situation where there is conflict, have that moment to really kind of check your emotions and say, okay, am I being aggressive or am I being assertive in this situation? And the same thing for the other party involved. If you do see that, they're kind of being a little aggressive, if you can talk them off a ledge, for a little bit. If not, maybe it's a time to put a pause to the conversation and to revisit it, at another time. The next step in the strategy is criticism. So if you were to walk into a classroom and you had a teacher that was disciplining a child but coming across a little harsh, we know it working in the ECE field that if you come very harsh or you're using hard words or hard language towards a child, you're going to see that child regress and stop, or you're going to see that child become defensive and start displaying challenging behaviors. So when accepting criticism for your business or when giving criticism to somebody, we want to do that just like our educators in the classroom would be doing when working with young children. You want to maintain a calm front, and that is doing a lot of breathing, just taking some time to reflect, to gather your thoughts, to gather your emotions, to see if you're being aggressive or assertive, but really just to get to a calm state. And then you want to practice active listening. This is a challenge for me, is to really listen to what the other person is saying. A lot of times in my mind, I'm trying to think about the next words that I'm going to say, or I'm thinking about the end result, but really to put on those active listening ears and to listen to the criticism that you're receiving. You want to take your personal emotions out of the conversation, refrain from that mama bear, papa bear aspect, and really try to listen to what the other party is saying. The biggest thing is to reflect and keep an open mind, to be willing to accept the words that they're sharing with you. And when you do these steps, when you're maintaining that calm front, when you're practicing active listening, and when you're taking your emotions out and you're keeping that open mind, what you're going to see is that the conversation remains a conversation and doesn't get to those heightened moments where it's snowballing out of control. And it's so tough to do. This is not something that comes naturally, like that mama pig making a nest. It is not something that comes naturally. It's really hard to accept criticism and to really take that as a positive thing and not see the negative in it. And when you're providing criticism to somebody, you want to make sure that you understand it's probably just as challenging for them to accept that criticism as well too. So there's just a deep understanding here of checking yourself on your delivery and your acceptance of criticism. All right, that was our strategy 1. So we are on to strategy 2, and this is when you are in the fire. The conflict is happening, it's going on, and you, excuse me, and you want to make sure that you have a deep understanding of the conflict. And we're going to break this up into different sections, which is listening, gathering the facts, finding the root cause, understanding perspective, finding out if there are past hurts, and avoidance. So our first part is to listen. And we did talk a little bit already about active listening and really having that control of hearing what the other person is saying, not in your mind thinking about the next thing you're going to say or how you want to end the conversation or what you want to have for lunch, but really listening to what the other party is saying. And when you do this, you'll kind of realize sometimes that you're arguing about the same thing. Maybe the words are just a bit different, and maybe there's a communication barrier there. But a lot of times when you're actively listening to the other party, those thoughts and feelings actually align with one another, and you can find a solution a whole lot easier. The other thing to do is to ask how and what questions. So if you've got an upset parent that has come to you and they're upset about a situation, ask them, how would you like for me to handle this? what do you think the next steps will be or should be? And when you do this, you're letting them know that you're listening to them, you value their thoughts, you value their opinions, and you want to show empathy as well too. I know that I've had some teachers in the past, and I had a no hot liquid in the classroom policy. And I had this one teacher one time, and every single morning I knew she was dropping her kids off to school. She was rushing to get there. It was in Atlanta, so traffic was crazy. And, she'd come in, she'd have that hot coffee, and you could just see she was just so awful, or not so awful. She was just so sad when it was like, okay, nope, coffee has to stay here. You can't take it into the classroom. So you want to know what's going on, and that's building those relationships as well too. But you want to show empathy. Here I am with this policy that you cannot have hot liquids in the classroom. So what I ended up doing is just buying a little ice cube tray, having that in the freezer. And so when she could come in with her coffee, I would tell her, hey, let's just pop some ice into that, and you can go ahead and carry that on into the classroom. That way there's not any kind of burns or anything that happens that way. But just show empathy for what's going on, understand what other people are going through, their emotions that are happening, and listening to what all they're going through, and that will help you better resolve the conflict situations. The next step in strategy 2 is to gather all the facts. So you've got conflict that has come to you. Never just assume that you know what is going on or you know what has happened. I know sometimes I'd be like, oh, yep, it was that parent, or oop, yep, it's this teacher. This is what has to happen, or this is what has happened. Investigate. Never assume you know everything. And it's very important to get all those details and all those facts aligned so that you can find and work to find the best solution at hand. When somebody comes to you and they're upset, it's just our nature to try to come up with an answer right away and to have a solution right away. And you do not have to do that. You should never feel rushed to find a solution. And the other party is going to feel very valued when you say, let me gather all this information for you. This is very important. I want to gather all the facts, as opposed to you hurrying to find the correct answer for them. Give them a follow-up time frame of, let me take some time to gather all these facts, to gather all this information, and let me follow back up with you at XYZ time frame. Make sure that if you give them a set time frame, that you are following up with them at that time. You can follow up with them a little bit before, but do not miss that time frame or that deadline that you've given, because then you just devalued everything that you have said. So you want to make sure that if you have made a commitment to somebody, that you do follow through with that commitment.
Hey,
Yes.
Kate, can I interrupt you?
Mhm.
I just want people to really let that sit in. I think this is a skill, being able to just say you don't have the answer right now. That is definitely a skill. And we get really nervous to not have the answer right away. And if you can master just that pause, I'll get back to you, and being able to establish that time frame, I think this is just such a great solution.
And it is finding that kind of elevator speech. If you find yourself rushing to find a solution, have those words already in your mind that you can say, you know what, I don't want to rush to find the answer. This is very important. Let me get back to you by noon today, and I'll have some facts gathered. And that way they have that value, and you have that elevator speech to fight those natural tendencies to rush to find a solution. Thank you, Caroline, for jumping in for that as well. All right, here's my next farm thing, right? I told you I would have some other farm stuff. When you have conflict, you want to dig in and you want to find the root cause. A lot of times when conflict comes up, it's just kind of what is on the surface, and you're not getting all the things that are underneath. What are all the other things that are causing this conflict to kind of boil up. Sometimes finding a solution can be quick, and sometimes it can take even longer, and it can take some more time. But in order to solve the problem at hand, you must really know what the problem is. For me, we've got this landscaping around the house, and we have blackberry bushes that are just everywhere. They've got thorns on them. You know, I just don't really want them up close to my house. Let's get them off into the garden somewhere. And what I realized is I could sit there and I could go pull up all these blackberry bushes, but I had to dig through and find all of the roots. If I did not, the next year, those blackberry bushes were even larger, and they had these massive thorns on them. So you don't want to do that in a conflict situation. You want to spend the time and to get all the root cause up. And then that way the conflict is handled and can be resolved moving forward. If you leave any pieces unsettled, it can come back up again. When we talked in strategy 1, we talked a lot about relationships and building a strong relationship. And in order to learn somebody's perspective, to see the conflict in their eyes and through their lens, you've got to have that relationship with them. You've got to build that foundation with your families, with your teachers, with your community partners, and get to know them on a professional and personal level. When you do this and conflict comes up, you're able to look through the situation, put yourself in their shoes, and to better understand where their mind is. So look at the other person's perspective in the situation when conflict comes up.
Kate, there was a question.
Sure.
Hannes, I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, but she said, what happens when the parent is not giving you that opportunity?
So if you have a parent that is, and I'm going to assume that this is about being able to pause and to gather the facts, it comes down to that relationship. If you're having a parent that is very heightened, that is very upset, and they're not letting you step away from the situation, you know, to me, that would be an indicator of, all right, I've got to, moving forward from this process, I've got to build a strong relationship with that parent. I've got to work on this so that they trust me that I am going to pause and gather the facts and get back to them. If you've got a parent and they're really upset about, you've got a missing jacket, and they come up to you, the child's jacket is missing, and they're not letting you, you know, go find it or find out what has happened or where the jacket has gone. It's really just how you communicate and how you talk to them from that moving forward. And it comes down to the relationships that you have. The jacket is probably not the best analogy in that situation. Sometimes it could be like a child bite or a child injury, but just pausing and saying, I do understand that you're very upset in this situation, but I've got to figure out everything that has gone on so that we can resolve this moving forward. And kind of just repeating that to them. You know, I know you are upset. Let me get this. It's going to be my top priority. And just letting them know that you do care. You're showing empathy. What they're saying is important. And you're going to spend that time to gather the facts and the information for them. And it's kind of just that broken record. If they keep going, you know, just say, Miss Jones or Mr. Smith or whoever it is, I'm just going to take a moment, go gather all these facts, and I'll meet back with you at this time with all the information. I want to make sure that I find out everything that has happened so that we can get the best solution moving forward. All right, the next one is past hurts. And for this section, it's understanding that sometimes conflict can come up, and it can be something small like the lost jacket, or we've all heard about the iconic lost sock situation. The parent comes up to you, they're so upset that you know, their child's sock is missing, and you're kind of just put off for a little bit of, okay, I know this is a situation, but it's not as large as this family is making it seem. What is going on here? And what can happen is that it causes this snowball effect, because this happened and this wasn't resolved, and then this happened and this wasn't resolved, and then now here's this lost sock, and it hasn't been found. It's kind of that snowball boiling, water boiling effect, where it's just getting larger and larger and larger. So anytime that you have conflict come up, you want to make sure that you peel back all the layers like an onion. You find out what is really going on, what is really happening. Is there more to the story than just this lost sock? This can really help build that foundation. And if you don't peel back and find all the past hurt, then it can cause that mistrust as well. I smile at this one because when I was a new director, I caught myself doing this all the time. I would have something come up and I would, you learn all the cars that come into your building. You're always watching, this person drives this car and this person drives this car. And I would catch myself avoiding teachers or avoiding parents. And, this was when I was just starting off as a director. And I learned very, very quick, if I ignore the conflict, the solution or the situation will only grow larger. It ends up showing them that you don't value them, or what is going on is not as important to you as it is to them. So never, never avoid the conflict or ignore the conflict. It will only cause it to grow larger. Don't do what I did back then. I learned very quickly that that was not the right decision to have. All right, so we've done strategy 1, we've completed strategy 2, and now we're on to strategy 3, which is to not let the conflict control you. And what we're going to review in strategy 3 is willpower, that everybody is unique. And then we're also going to review some outcomes, and that can be outcomes to the conflict, or that can be your outcomes and how you want to move forward from the presentation today. So willpower, your mind over matter. And what I catch myself doing is my mind constantly wanders and spirals, and I'll start thinking that the other person thought this, and this person thought this, and this is what has gone on. And just for example, the other day I caught my mind really wandering and just creating this whole situation. And I went up to my husband and I said something, and he goes, "Well, I'm just eating a sandwich," And I had made up this whole story and just let my mind take control, and my mind just grow even larger. So try not to go in with those natural tendencies of letting your mind wander and overthink situations. Just dive in, find those root causes, find out where it's coming from, and really just control your thoughts into the situation at hand. For us in childcare, we did not get into early childhood because of money. This is not the situation where you're going to walk away making millions and trillions of dollars. We are here because we've got those people-pleasing tendencies. You want to teach, you want to educate, you want to do what is best for the children that you care for. So really take some time not to have those natural people-pleasing tendencies come up, and to control that you cannot please every single person that is involved. The biggest thing, breathe through the situations. Take the time to control your thoughts, to control your emotions. When you see yourself being confronted with conflict, if you are at that heightened state as well too, then you're going to have more tendency to not think before you speak. So take that time to breathe, and that could just be a simple pause. Or when somebody is saying something, it is okay to say, "Hold on, let me take a moment to digest what you just said. I heard that you said this and this and this. Is that right? And just take some time to kind of think through what they have said and breathe through the situation. The next step in strategy 3 is understanding that everybody is unique. Just because something has happened in the past, maybe a few months ago, you were confronted with the same kind of conflict situation. It was about an employee schedule. And here you've got another employee coming to you with something that's very similar about their schedule. You cannot handle conflict the same with one person that you can with the other. You have your own unique thoughts, your own unique skills. They have their own unique thoughts and skills as well too. So once you understand that every person is unique and that you have to handle situations specific for each person, then you'll be able to walk away and know that that you're handling it the best for them. Ms. Caroline, I saw you jump back up, so I thought we maybe had another question. You're on mute.
The old, you're on mute. Patricia had a question. I was just trying to read it. It said, how do you resolve that? I'm a little late in presenting her question. She said she had a parent say her son has not come home with his coat and they had to buy him 5 new coats.
Yeah, and it's, if it is a situation that comes up and it is about, like the lost coat or something along those, maybe it's a time, excuse me, now we're having mute and tickles and throats. But maybe that's a time to look into your systems. So if this child's coat is constantly getting lost, take that feedback from that family and to realize that, and we're going to talk about this in just a little moment, take that feedback from that family. Here's this family that we've got this lost coat. We've now bought, 5 jackets for this child. Here's another one that is lost. You can just imagine that parent's frustration with that, because that's a lot of money that they're spending, for the lost coat. But maybe that's a system process that you can take their feedback, you can take what they're saying, and you can develop a new system in place for jackets, for materials, water bottles, whatever it is. But hear what they are saying and then take that and reflect it to your business. So if it's the lost coat, the lost jacket, diaper changes, bottle feedings, whatever it is, all that feedback that they're giving you, that criticism that they're giving you, have that open mind and take what they're saying and reflect that onto your business as an opportunity to move forward with maybe a better system in place. And I think that's kind of where she was getting at with that question. But understanding everybody's unique, right? It might be a mom that you have that it's okay. They constantly go through jackets and the child has, a closet full of jackets. And then you might have a parent that's really struggling to make ends meet. And so one time a jacket is lost is a much bigger situation than 3 times a jacket is lost. And that's really just understanding and developing those relationships with your families and getting to know them on that professional, personal level. If you know what they're going through, then you'll understand where the conflict is coming from a little bit better as well too. All right, now we are on to outcomes. And you can take this slide of, let me take this presentation and make outcomes for myself moving forward, or take this as the outcomes to conflict. But when you're working on outcomes, you want to make sure that you set realistic goals and outcomes to give yourself a sense of direction and purpose. You want to make sure that you give yourself stretch goals that are going to push you, but not push you where you're adding too much stress onto yourself. Same thing with conflict. You want to set goals and outcomes with your solution in conflict. Turning your thoughts into positive instead of negative, like when we were talking about the lost coat. the situation comes up, and a lot of times we take conflict as negative. We don't like conflict. It's not something that is fun, but we can take this feedback and this criticism from the parent or from the staff member, and we can take it as an opportunity for growth in our business, or an opportunity for growth as us as individuals, and not that it is destruction. You want to try to find a positive outcome in every negative situation. And this is not something that comes naturally, right? Criticism is tough to take in and digest. Criticism sometimes can be tough to deliver to somebody, but take down and track your goals, track your solutions to the outcomes that were there, and reflect back. And that can be, I'm a big journal person. I love to journal. I love to plan. I love to go back and look at everything, but sometimes that journaling does not happen on paper. It happens in my own mind. So going back and thinking through things can be just going through that Rolodex in your mind. Okay, I had this situation last year come up. How did I handle it? How was it? Or maybe you had a conflict situation with a staff member and they came into you right as you were about to get on a conference call, or right as you were about to go give a lunch break, and you're just very, very heightened at that moment. Take time to reflect and say, that didn't go as I wanted to. How could I have handled this differently moving forward? But take all these opportunities when conflict arises to take a moment to dive into what is going on with your culture, what is going on with your company culture, your business culture, what has caused this to snowball, what has caused this to come up. Is it maybe a system that I need to have better in place? But take that time to reflect and to really think through what has gone on and what has happened. All right, we have gone through. We have another question? No? Okay. We have gone through strategy 1, which is mitigate the conflict before it starts. Biggest takeaway there is understanding your relationships, building strong relationships, and having that trust. When you have that trust with your teachers, with your employees, with your parents, you're going to have less conflict. Because they know that you've got the best interest at hand, you've got that open communication, that open dialogue. They're going to come to you about the small things before they become massive, large things. So really building that relationship is the best takeaway in today's information. Strategy 2 is understanding the conflict, making sure that you're getting all the roots out, right? You don't want the prickly blackberries all around your property. Get all the roots out and make sure that you know exactly what the conflict is. You've got all the facts, you've got all the information, you know what's happened in the past with the family, and that way you can come up with the best solution. And then strategy 3 is not allowing the conflict to control you. You only have control over yourself. You can only control so much. You can't control everything that's happening on the outside, but you can put policies and procedures and systems and things in place that you are in control of. You are not able to change somebody that is not willing, and you are not able to change somebody that is not able to change. So just knowing that information in your mind, that you can only control you. You can make today a good day. It's not a good day because it's a good day. It's a good day because you chose to make it a good day. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Caroline. She's got some great information for you, as well as maybe a few giveaways.
Thanks, Kate. Wow, such great information. I know we're running short on time. We have like 6 minutes left, and we still want to open it up if at the very end, if anyone has any other questions. But I think today more than ever, our schools are so challenging, and you gave us some really great tools. And I think most importantly is that we can only control ourselves, but put those expectations, policies, and procedures and processes in place. That's really all we can do, and hire people that are willing to accept feedback. I know we can't do that with our families. Like we can't, as much as we want to pick and choose our families, that's hard. But we are going to have a giveaway. But before we do that, I want to invite everyone. Kate and I are going to be here in sunny St. Petersburg, Florida in March. So March 14th through 16th. This is our annual Navigate Luxury Childcare Retreat. We have the best speaker lineup ever put together in one spot. And the cool part is that all of us are going to be speaking out by the pool around all the palm trees. You're not going to sit on a conference chair. They're not allowed. Everything is included, from breakfast, lunch, dinner, entertainment, even boat rides. Just some of our speakers and topics. We have a really great strategy session on how to attract and retain staff. That's going to be like a 2-hour presentation. He's got a ton of data. It's going to be really fabulous. Beth Cannon's going to teach us how to lead out of a transitional season. Prerna Richards, if you know her, she deals with challenging behaviors a lot. So she's going to be presenting. Hani Wolschansky is going to be talking about culture tension decoder. We have Vernon Mason, we have Julie Barkis, and Rachel Sapala. So, and myself and Kate. So please join us. There's a coupon code here. Kate, if you want to get us over to the next slide. We're going to give away one ebook to a lucky person. So I went down the list of names, and Angela Penalver, Penalver, will be our winner for the ebook. So we'll get in touch with her. And we've got one other really great giveaway, and it's our leadership box. If you know anything about these, they are filled with all kinds of leadership materials, fun little knickknacks, goodies, supplies, everything that a director will love to make their day happier and more fun. So the winner of that box is Laura Karger, Karger, Laura Karger. So again, we'll get her contact information from Cindy and from Mariah.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll be sure to get all that email information over to y'all so you can claim your prizes. And if we could just get the code, if you want to drop that in the chat, Caroline or Kate, for the retreat. We had some people who seemed interested in that. So we want to make sure they get all that good information. And I see a question about the certificate. So before either today or tomorrow, you'll all be receiving your certificates for attending today's session, as well as the recording. And then I will check to see whether or not Kate or Caroline would be happy to maybe provide PDFs of the slides so people can go over them and read them at their leisure as well. Since we had so much wonderful information, thank you so much for sharing that. But before we close it all out, I want to go hand this off to our director, Cindy Lanehoff, for a few last minute words.
Thank you, Mariah. And most of all, thank you to Kate and Caroline for joining us today. I have to tell you that Kate definitely practices what she preaches. I had the pleasure of working on the same team with Kate when she was with a company that I worked for, and she was a director. So I know her work firsthand. So it was really, it was a pleasure bringing her to all of you. This has always been a topic of, not avoiding conflict, because it just, makes things worse. But I think this topic has a lot of relevance to improving our work environments and making it a place where people really do want to work and want to be part of a productive team. I also wanted to personally invite you all. We are having a special webinar next Tuesday, February 21st, at the same time, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we are going to be talking about working together to solve the childcare crisis. There is a lot going on behind the scenes, both federally and state-wise, that are great opportunities for owners and directors and even educators to involve themselves in making changes that will truly benefit providers and families alike, because we can't just keep it where we benefit families, because the providers will disappear and not be able to thrive, and then we haven't benefited families. We have a couple of special guests. We have Scott Bright, who is the owner of ABC Child Development Centers in Colorado. He has been a really big part of Colorado's desire to move forward with a mixed delivery for universal pre-K that rolls out in 2023. And I know everybody's interested in that because it is happening in several states. And he can tell you how you can become a part of the solution and keep private licensed childcare involved. And then we're also going to hear from Ellen Reynolds, who is the CEO of Georgia Childcare. And she's going to talk to you about ways you can make your voice heard, because we've got to increase the numbers of people that are out there that do this for a living so that we aren't forgotten. And that's, I just hope you can really join us. I think you'll be surprised at some of the things coming out at the federal level. There is more money, not a ton, but there's also other things that are happening that I think are good news. And you need to know, that we are under a microscope, and you need to know how to get involved. So thank you all very much. You are essential, and you are the most essential to getting people to work. So have a great afternoon, and God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. I will be sending follow-up emails, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next one.
And
Bye.
look for the invite on the webinar that we're sending out.
Absolutely. Bye.